my thoughts on Agile are, it's great. Like, Agile is a set of principles and a manifesto, and I agree with like everything in it. I think that it's popular because it works. It's largely effective when used effectively, just like any process. So I think generally when it comes to process or tools, my attitude is the more options for tools, the better, because then we as project managers and we as teams can choose the right tool for the job. And I think there are many cases in which Agile is absolutely the right tool for the job. And there's other cases where there's constraints that make it really hard to adopt. So I think as project managers, we should always be open to learning and adjusting, whether it's a tool, a process, a methodology, a manifesto. We should always be trying to integrate that thinking into how we're doing our job.
I think Agile in and of itself is great. I think it's a cool thing. I think when Agile goes sideways is when people get their hands all over it. And I think that's a good and a bad side. People will often take Agile, air quotes, and then just try to slap that process onto whatever they're doing and in whatever situation their organization is. And, having been a part of the digital transformation that's happening in the commercial bank at Capital One, I've seen that sometimes you just can't slap a process on something and know that it's going to fix it. Sometimes it takes baby steps. You're going to have to coach it along, and you may have to use small elements of it in order to prove it out and show that it's successful and helpful to the team to then build and continue to scale the process over time. And so I think in that aspect, when people can tinker with it, that's great. I'm never a fan of anything, whether it's Agile or any other kind of process or tool or anything, when we just take it and kind of like blindly slap it on top of the work we're doing, hoping that it will add some extra layer of value or that it will fix the problems that we're currently having.
I think Agile is popular now, and has been for a while, because it's different, it's more fun, there's less documentation, which most people don't like doing, but also because it's at least an attempt to try to do something different. We've learned over decades that the old ways of running projects tend to fail a lot, and so this is a new way of trying to avoid that failure. I'm not sure that it has really improved our success rate that much in the big picture of things, but it gives us another tool to work with. And I think ultimately the thing with Agile or any methodology is not to really strictly try to adhere to it, because I think once we put ourselves in any box, we're going to end up with some problems, but rather adding it to our toolbox and making it just another piece of the puzzle that we can draw on to come up with some project success. So any given project might really benefit from some Agile principles, but at the same time, we might need a little bit of waterfall in there to keep things on track. And we have to be comfortable drawing on whatever will work for that particular project.
Well, it's so popular because it's the latest silver bullet, quite frankly. Agile is the latest thing that senior managers see as a quick fix solution to delivering value quickly. And of course, there are so many benefits to Agile. It's not new. It's been around for 17 years. It was created by some software developers who were sick and tired of being told what to do by bureaucratic project managers. And everything within the Agile manifesto is still relevant today, but it's not new. It's a common sense approach to getting things delivered. Now, as we move through and as we evolve in project delivery, it's only right that we'd have new tools, new methods. And every project manager needs to get their Agile badge. You need to understand the different mechanisms for doing things. You need to know how to run a stand-up. You need to know how to run a hackathon. You need to know how to be visual and run sprints. That's just part of your toolkit. But fundamentally, if you're not a good person helping people, coaching people, and are able to produce and maintain progress to a plan, then, in the wrong hands, Agile is still just something else that can break. So Agile it's part of your project management toolkit. You need to do it, but it's not a quick fix solution for delivery. It demands an equal amount of adherence and an equal amount of discipline to make sure that you deliver the outcomes as stakeholders expect.
This is sort of a tricky question because that's mostly what I do. I think Agile is really popular at the executive level because people see it as, it's a solution. It's a silver bullet. It's going to give me the ability to change my mind all the time, and I can get everything faster and everyone will be happy. And that stuff is true, but it's only true if you can transform your organization into an environment that will allow it to survive. I think a lot of people understand that the traditional way of working has a lot of flaws. It was built for a certain time period that We don't have those same situations right now, especially if you're doing, knowledge work or any kind of software or web development. Things change really, really fast. So we have to be able to adapt to that. And Agile gives us the promise of that. I think it's a really important way of working, but I also think it's important to understand that Agile is just a set of tools. Try to put a discipline practice in place. Figure out what things don't fit well with your organization or what things need to be modified, and then make a change. But don't just change it out of the box, because people have spent a lot of time and a lot of years figuring out how to make that stuff work. But all the Agile practices are meant to be adapted for any organization.
Agile has become popular because it is one of those new ways of thinking about how to do business. It's also one of those catchphrases that make it easier to sell things to other customers. I think everyone attempts to do Agile, but there's no real way of making something truly Agile. You hear things of it being called Agifall, or, yes, I do a blended version of what Agile really is. I think if you are working for a company where you solely get to focus a lot on the dev work, Agile can be successful because you have the ability to incorporate the entire team. But for a lot of us, we're working on full service projects where you have to be able to do strategy, design, UX, UI, marketing, all at the same time. And that kind of breaks down the true components of what Agile is. So I think in order for Agile to be successful and why it's continuing to be popular, there's things about it that make project management easier. You have the different ceremonies that give you the reasons why you can continue to talk and adapt and build the project, and it makes things continuously move on and on together. So take the pieces of Agile that work best for you, but don't feel like you have to force yourself into a box just because someone said you need to be Agile.